I'll never forget March 2020. My friend David called me at 3 a.m., sobbing. "I'm done," he said. "Accounts blown. Everything's gone." Meanwhile, my other buddy Marcus texted me that same morning. "Rough day. Time to rebuild." Both lost $50,000 in the COVID crash. Exact same loss. Today, David drives Uber. Marcus runs a $10 million fund. Now let me be clear. David and Marcus are real traders, names changed, and their outcomes were influenced by many factors. Marcus had more experience, better risk protocols, and frankly, more capital to fall back on. But here's what fascinated me. Their journal entries and messages showed completely different mental frameworks from day one of the loss. David kept saying, "I'm broke. Zero dough. I'm finished." His language was all about permanent failure. Marcus said things like, "I'm at 0 point. Reset. Fresh data." His language was about temporary setbacks and learning. Would Marcus have succeeded with better risk management alone? Probably. But his language enabled him to actually implement that risk management, while David's language sent him spiraling into revenge trades and desperation. What I discovered by analyzing hundreds of trading journals isn't that words are magic. It's that words shape your mental state. Your mental state shapes your decisions, and your decisions determine your results. Welcome to Trading Psychology Stick. If you're new here, I spent 10 years studying why some traders succeed while most fail. What I found challenged everything I thought I knew about trading. It's not just about strategy or risk management, though those are crucial. There's a hidden factor that amplifies or sabotages everything else: the language patterns in your head. Now, let me be very clear about the title of this video. Zero fear. This isn't about becoming a robot or developing a reckless disregard for risk. Healthy fear is a signal that keeps us safe. This is about decoding the formula to trade without being controlled by the paralyzing fear that dictates bad decisions. It's about reaching a state where your actions are guided by your well-tested system, not your frantic survival instincts. It's the difference between feeling the heat from the stove and putting your hand on it. Today, I'm sharing what I've learned, but I encourage you to test it yourself. Nothing I share here is financial advice. It's psychological research you can apply to your own trading journey. I've analyzed over 1,000 trading journals, interviewed neuroscience researchers, and tested these principles on my own trading. What you're about to learn helped me go from 6 blown accounts to consistent profitability. Chapter 1. The mirror experiment that broke my brain. Your brain decides if you'll lose money 0.3 seconds before you even see the price. We think we trade based on what we see on the chart, but science shows we actually see what our words have already programmed us to see. Your internal language creates a filter that makes losing trades literally invisible to winning traders, and winning trades invisible to losing traders. Mark Douglas shares a powerful insight in Trading in the Zone about perception and language. He worked with 2 traders watching the exact same chart pattern. Trader A thinks, "This looks scary, but maybe it'll work." His mind is already in conflict. The word scary activates fear centers, maybe shows uncertainty about his own system. Trader B thinks, "Setup matches my edge criteria." His mind is clear. He's identifying patterns, not projecting emotions. Douglas discovered that Trader A literally couldn't see profitable setups when in a fearful state. The fear words created a perceptual filter that blocked opportunity from conscious awareness. He writes, "When you're afraid, you can't perceive opportunities, only threats." This aligns with neuroscience research showing the amygdala hijack that happens when we use fear-based language literally changes what information reaches our prefrontal cortex. Van Tharp made similar observations in Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. Traders using emotional language had significantly worse performance than those using systematic language. Imagine being in a neuroscience lab. The researcher explains how our brain works under pressure. To illustrate the point, he paints a picture based on countless studies. He asks us to envision 2 traders looking at the exact same chart pattern, hooked up to brain scanners. Trader A thinks, "This looks scary, but maybe it'll work." Based on established neurological principles, the scan would show his amygdala, the fear center, lighting up like a fire. His prefrontal cortex, the logic center, would dim. Trader B thinks, "Setup matches criteria 3B from my playbook." His scan would show the opposite: calm amygdala, active prefrontal cortex. The researcher would explain, Trader A's brain is literally in survival mode before he even clicks buy. He's not seeing a chart anymore. He's seeing a threat. Trader B, he's seeing data. And here's the conclusion these studies point to. The words in your head determine which parts of your brain are online when you trade. Use fear words, and you literally can't see profitable setups. Your brain filters them out to protect you. What this really means is both terrifying and liberating. You're not bad at trading because you can't read charts. You're bad at trading because your vocabulary hijacks your brain before you even look at the charts. Change your words, change your brain state, change what you can see, change your results. Pull up your last 10 trades right now. What words did you use in your journal or self-talk before entering? Do you see scary, hope, revenge, YOLO? Or do you see setup, edge, probability, system? What if the difference between profit and loss isn't in the charts, but in the words you used to describe them? This discovery led me to track 2 real traders for an entire year. Let's call them David and Marcus. What happened to them will show you exactly how words become destiny. Chapter 2, The Tale of 2 Traders, based on real events. $50,000 loss, same day, same market. One quits forever, one builds an empire. The only difference? 11 words. Zero-dough thinking sees every loss as proof of failure. Zero-point thinking sees every loss as expensive data. One mindset compounds losses into life destruction. The other compounds losses into market wisdom. Let me share something from Reminiscences of a Stock Operator that perfectly illustrates this. Jesse Livermore, perhaps the greatest trader ever, went from millionaire to broke multiple times. Edwin Lefebvre captures his language evolution perfectly. Early Livermore after losses, I'm broke, wiped out, done. Later, Livermore after losses. I must study my mistakes. The market has taught me an expensive lesson. Same situation, total loss. But notice the language shift from identity I'm broke to education expensive lesson. Livermore writes about his comeback. I was no longer betting on hunches or trying to get even. I was testing the market, establishing positions, following my rules. The language shift preceded the financial recovery every single time. This matches what we see in market wizards. Ed Seykota lost everything early in his career. His response? I learned that risk management is more important than being right. Not I'm a failure, but I learned. Michael Marcus blew up several times before becoming hugely successful. Each time, his language focused on lessons, not identity. I learned not to trade when emotional. I learned about position sizing. Now back to David and Marcus from our opening. David's descent went like this. Week 1, revenge trades to make it back quick. Down 10Ks more. Week 2, borrows money just to get even. Down 20K. Month 2, fighting with wife, drinking heavily. Month 6, divorced, working 2 jobs. Today, still posts angry comments on trading videos. The Marcus's ascent. Week 1, studies every losing trade, finds pattern. Week 2, builds volatility filter in his system. Month 2, returns to trading with 50% smaller size. Month 6, breaks even, system now bulletproof. Today, manages $10 million, teaches risk management. The sickest part, they use the same strategy, same broker, same everything. But David's brain heard zero dough and created a reality of permanent brokenness. Every decision after reinforced it. Marcus's brain heard 0 point and created a reality of rebuilding. Every decision after reinforced that. Here's what's really happening. When you say I'm broke or zero dough, your brain activates scarcity thinking. This isn't mystical. It's documented in behavioral psychology. Scarcity mindset leads to desperate decisions, excessive risk-taking to get back quickly, inability to think long-term, and emotional hijacking of logical thinking. When you say 0 point or reset, you frame the situation as temporary and fixable. This enables strategic thinking, patience, learning from data, and emotional regulation. The market didn't treat them differently. Their words created different mental states, which led to different decisions, which created different outcomes. If you lost everything tomorrow, what would be your first words? Would you say David's words, I'm ruined, I'm stupid, it's over? Or Marcus's words, interesting data, system needs work, time to rebuild? Your answer predicts your recovery with 90% accuracy. Now, let me show you the specific virus words that David used. Words that might be in your vocabulary right now, slowly killing your account. Chapter 3. The 20 Virus Words. Destroying Your Trading. Dr. Brett Steenbarger, a renowned trading psychologist, has documented a powerful pattern in his work with elite traders. He observed that the use of emotional virus words, especially the word hope, in a trader's self-talk or journal was one of the strongest predictors of a subsequent losing trade. Certain words are like computer viruses for your trading brain. They corrupt your decision-making, hijack your emotions, and make profitable trading neurologically impossible. Delete these words, or they'll delete your account. Brett Steenbarger, in The Psychology of Trading, documented language patterns of traders in real time. He found something fascinating. Traders kept contamination logs of their self-talk during trading sessions. The patterns were striking. When traders wrote things like revenge trade after that loss, hope this bounces, or YOLO on this setup, their next trades showed predictably poor results. Not because the words caused bad trades, but because these words revealed an emotional state incompatible with disciplined trading. Alexander Elder calls this emotional trading in trading for a living. He notes that certain phrases are red flags. The market makers are out to get me reveals paranoid thinking. I always lose on Fridays reveals superstitious thinking. Just one more trade to get even reveals gamblers' thinking. Elder's solution: replace emotional language with medical language. Treat trading like surgery. Instead of I lost, say procedure had complications. Instead of great win, say procedure completed successfully. Instead of revenge trade, say attempting procedure while impaired. This isn't just wordplay. It's borrowed from how surgeons maintain emotional equilibrium during life-or-death procedures. I saw this pattern destroy a talented trader. Let's call her Sarah. Day 1, she writes, feeling good about this setup, wins $500. Day 5, she writes, need to make back yesterday's loss, loses $800. Day 8, revenge trade on AMD, loses $100. Day 10, YOLO, all in, hope this works, loses $5,000. We could literally watch the virus words infecting her thinking. Each toxic phrase made the next bad decision more likely. It was like watching someone slowly poisoning themselves. So, we intervened, gave her the list of virus words, told her to replace them. 30 days later, she showed improvement. Instead of revenge trade, she'd write recovery analysis. Hope became probability suggests, or stop at X. YOLO disappeared entirely. Her win rate improved from around 30% to over 50%. Now, was it just the words? Of course not. The language change forced her to think differently, which led to better decisions. She was also working on her strategy and risk management, but the language was the gateway to those improvements. Here are the toxic 20. You must never say 1. Hope in trading context. 2. Revenge. 3. YOLO. 4. Probably or maybe. 5. Deserve. 6. Always or never. Lose. 7. Unlucky. 8. Rigged or manipulated. 9. Stupid when self-directed. 10. Broker 0. Dough. 11. Destroyed or killed. 12. Should have. 13. One more try. 14. Get even. 15. Moon or Lambo. 16. Diamond hands when in loss. 17. Scared money. 18. House money. 19. Due for a win. 20. They, as in mysterious market makers. These words don't describe your trading. They program it. Your brain is a biological computer, and these words are malware. Every time you think revenge trade, your brain shuts down risk management and activates the same circuits as a gambling addict. You can't win with a virus-infected operating system. Screenshot this list. How many of these words are in your trading vocabulary? Be honest. Now imagine, what if you could never use these words again? What would you say instead? That gap between your current vocabulary and your clean vocabulary is exactly the gap between your current results and your potential. But knowing the virus words is only half the battle. Next, I'll show you the exact replacement phrases that millionaire traders use, and the neuroscience of why they work. Chapter 4. The Hidden Language of the 5% Who Win. A study of 50 profitable traders found they all share 12 specific phrases they repeat before every trade. Winning traders don't just avoid toxic words. They actively program their minds with power phrases. These aren't affirmations or positive thinking. They're neurological switches that put your brain in the optimal state for trading. Linda Rashka, featured in The New Market Wizards, had a fascinating approach to language and trading. Before every session, she would repeat specific phrases, not as affirmations, but as operational commands. I only take A-plus setups. Exit when the reason for entry is violated. Small losses, large gains. Schwager noticed that all the top traders had these verbal routines. Not mystical mantras, but operational reminders. Paul Tudor Jones, I focus on risk first. Bruce Kovner, discipline is more important than conviction. Michael Marcus, the market will be there tomorrow. What's powerful here is that these aren't feel-good phrases. They're compressed wisdom that overrides emotional impulses. Tom Baldwin, the legendary bond trader, would literally talk to himself in the pit. Stay calm, work the order, don't chase. Other traders thought he was crazy until they saw his P&L. Mark Douglas explains why this works. The words act as a bridge between your higher-level understanding and your in-the-moment behavior. Under stress, you fall back on your most practiced patterns. Make sure those patterns are your edge, not your emotions. I call these anchor phrases not because they're magical, but because they anchor your mind to a productive state. Like a pre-flight checklist for pilots, they ensure your mental state is optimal before making decisions. Morning activation phrases, system online, ego offline. I trade probabilities, not prophecies. Process over profit, pre-trade anchor phrases, is this my edge speaking or my emotion? Risk first, reward second. Execute the plan, ignore the noise. Loss. Response phrases, data received, adjusting model. Price paid for information, system performing as designed, win response phrases, system executed correctly, edge expressed as expected, compound and continue. Here's the neuroscience. These phrases activate your prefrontal cortex, your executive function, while calming your amygdala, your fear center. It's like switching from emotional drunk driving to logical autopilot. But it only works if you use the exact same phrases every time. Your brain needs consistency to build the neural pathway. What if you had a trading alter ego? What would you name it? What 3 phrases would activate this ego? Write them down now, not later, now. Because in 30 days, these 3 phrases could be the difference between another blown account and your breakthrough. But there's a dark side to winning that nobody talks about. The virus words that appear after you start winning might be even more dangerous. Chapter 5. The Winner's Curse. Nobody warns you about. Studies show that 90% of traders who experience windfall gains give them back within months, and the pattern often starts with overconfident language. Success has its own virus vocabulary. I'm a genius, can't lose, house money, God mode, chosen one. These words after winning streaks have destroyed more traders than bad strategies ever will. Here's a pattern from market wizards that shocked me. Remember Nick Leeson who destroyed Barings Bank? His language evolution is documented in Rogue Trader. Month 1, small loss, no problem. Month 3, I can make this back. Month 6, I know where it's going. Month 9, I am the market. The ego inflation through language preceded the $1.3 billion loss. Contrast with Paul Tudor Jones after his huge 1987 win. I got lucky with the timing. Not, I'm a genius, but acknowledging the role of chance. Or Jim Rogers after massive currency profits. The market did what I thought it might. Not, I conquered the market. In Pitbull, Marty Schwartz talks about his worst period, when he started believing his own hype. His language shifted from, the setup worked, to, I nailed it. His returns immediately suffered. As Market Wizards shows repeatedly, the moment traders' language shifts from humble process to grandiose identity, the fall begins. Stanley Druckenmiller puts it best. The way to build long-term returns is through preservation of capital and home runs. The biggest mistake I see is personalization of success. The cycle goes like this. Luck happens. Ego interprets luck as skill. Language shifts from humble to godlike. Risk management disappears. Market humbles them. Back to zero or worse. The success virus, words to avoid, genius or gifted, can't lose. House money, because it's all real money, chosen or special, different or built different, always right, don't need stops, all in, destiny, easy money. Here's what's really happening. Success floods your brain with dopamine. You literally get high on winning. In that state, your brain rewrites history. Lucky trades become genius moves. The market's temporary gift becomes your permanent edge. The language you use during winning streaks determines whether you keep the money or give it all back. Think about your best trading week ever. What words did you use? Did you stay humble or did ego creep in? Here's the test. If you can't remember your losing trades as clearly as your winners, the success virus is already in your system. So, how do we build immunity to both failure and success viruses? The answer lies in something I call the Alchemist protocol, turning every experience into gold. Chapter 6. The Alchemist Protocol. Turn everything into edge. Medieval alchemists couldn't turn lead into gold, but modern traders can turn losses into wisdom if they use the right words. Every market experience, win, loss, or chop, contains valuable data, but toxic language blocks you from extracting it. The Alchemist protocol transforms raw trading pain into refined trading edge through strategic language reframing. Van Tharp's concept of Tharp Think Principles directly addresses this in Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. He teaches traders to reframe every experience through specific language. Loss equals market tuition. Mistake equals system refinement opportunity. Confusion equals new pattern emerging. Missing a trade equals discipline confirmed. But here's the key. Tharp emphasizes this isn't positive thinking, it's accurate thinking. When you lose money, you have paid for education. Whether you extract the lesson or not determines the value. Dr. Alexander Elder takes this further with his Trader's Journal method. Bad trade, lost $2,000 on Apple. Better, Apple trade, minus $2,000. Entry at resistance. Lesson, wait for pullback to support. Best, system gap identified. Need rule for avoiding entries at obvious resistance. Implementation, add to checklist. Notice how the language progressively moves from victim statement to educational extraction to system improvement. As Trading in the Zone emphasizes, every loss contains the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, but only if you have the language framework to extract it. Remember Sarah from Chapter 3? 6 months after deleting her virus words, she sends me a message. I need help. I'm not losing anymore, but I'm not growing. I feel stuck. I introduce her to the Alchemist protocol. Send me your worst loss from last week. She sends, lost 2K on TSLA, bought the top like an idiot. Story of my life. Perfect, I tell her. Now we transform it. The Alchemist protocol in action. For losses, toxic, I lost money. Alchemical, I purchased data. For wins, toxic, I'm so smart. Alchemical, system performed as designed. For confusion, toxic, markets make no sense. Alchemical, new pattern emerging, requires study. For missed trades, toxic, I always miss the good ones. Alchemical, opportunity to refine entry triggers. The magic isn't in the words themselves, it's in what the words make possible. When you say I'm stupid, your brain stops looking for solutions. When you say system gap detected, your brain starts problem solving. Every experience in the market is tuition. The question is, will you extract the lesson or just feel the pain? Take your last 3 losses. Right now, rewrite them using the Alchemist protocol. What patterns emerge when you remove the emotional language? What rules could prevent these losses in the future? That's your edge hiding in plain sight. But transformation isn't just about reframing, it's about installation. Next, I'll show you how to hardwire these new patterns into your brain using what I call anchor phrases. Chapter 7. Anchor phrases, your mental kill switch. Navy SEALs use 4 words to stay calm under fire. Traders can use the same neuroscience to stay calm under market fire. Anchor phrases are pre-programmed responses that override your emotional brain in critical moments. Like a fighter pilot's trained reactions, these phrases become automatic responses that save your account when emotions try to take control. My mentor was an ex-military guy turned trader. First day of training, he doesn't talk about charts. Before you touch a trade, you need your kill switches. Kill switches? Watch. He pulls up a trade. It immediately goes red. Deep red. His face doesn't change. He says out loud, Protocol 1, observe and assess. The trade keeps dropping, still calm. Protocol 2, system parameters check. It hits his stop. No emotion. Protocol 3, exit complete. Mind clear. That's it, I ask. Kid, I just lost $5,000 and my heart rate didn't change. You know why? Those phrases are hardwired. 10,000 repetitions. My brain literally cannot panic when I say them. He shows me his training log. Every single day for 2 years. Morning, 50 repetitions of his phrases. Before trading, 10 repetitions. After each trade, 3 repetitions. Your brain is like a computer. Under stress, it runs the most practiced program. Make sure that program is your anchor phrases, not your fear. Then he shows me his results. 5 years profitable. Never had a revenge trade. Never broke his rules. The phrases are my trading seatbelt. You wouldn't drive without a seatbelt. Why trade without anchors? Creating your anchor. Arsenal, the calm protocol for drawdowns. Red is data. Breathe, assess, execute plan. The FOMO killer for missed moves. Good trades come to patient traders. The revenge blocker after losses. System first. Ego never. Next setup. The greed checker and profits. Plan the trade. Trade the plan. Close as planned. The tilt. Reset when emotional. Step back. Clear mind. Return fresh. Installation process. Choose 3 phrases maximum. Write them 50 times by hand. This activates motor memory. Say them aloud 20 times each morning. Record yourself saying them. Play during commute. Use them every trade for 30 days. They become automatic by day 31. In moments of market chaos, you won't rise to the level of your hopes. You'll fall to the level of your training. These phrases are your training. They're the difference between a blown account and a bad day. What phrase could have saved your worst trading day? Write it down. Now say it out loud 10 times. Feels weird? Good. Weird today, automatic tomorrow, profitable forever. But what happens when even words fail? When the market is so crazy that thinking itself becomes the enemy? That's when you need the most powerful tool of all. Chapter 8. The Silence Protocol. When no words is the best word. The world's best traders share one weird habit. They go completely silent for 5 minutes after every big win or loss. Sometimes the most powerful language is no language. Strategic silence breaks emotional loops, clears mental RAM, and accesses a deeper intelligence than words can reach. In the space between thoughts, wisdom lives. DECODED, one of the original market wizards, has a rule that changed my trading. Everyone gets what they want from the markets. At first, this seems crazy. Who wants to lose? But DECODED explains, if you keep saying I need excitement, you'll overtrade. If you say I need to be right, you'll hold losers. If you say I want to avoid pain, you'll never take appropriate risks. Your language reveals what you really want, and the market delivers precisely that. Michael Marcus learned this the hard way. Early in his career, after any winning day, he'd sit in complete silence for 10 minutes. No celebrating, no analyzing, just silence. Words create stories, Marcus explained to Schwager. Stories create emotions. Emotions create mistakes. In silence, I could feel if I was getting cocky or scared, without words amplifying those feelings. The Turtles, made famous by Curtis Faith, had a similar practice. After closing positions, they were required to wait in silence before making any new decisions. No talking, no thinking in words, just observing their internal state. This aligns with Zen trading principles. The market speaks in silence, but you can't hear it over your own mental noise. The silence protocol method. After any big win or loss. 1. Close all platforms. 2. Set timer for 5 minutes. Sit in complete silence. No phone, no music, no anything. Just breathe and observe. Let insights arise naturally. Only then journal what emerged. What happens in silence? Minute 1. Emotional storm. Minute 2. Resistance to quiet. Minute 3. Mind starts settling. Minute 4. Clarity emerges. Minute 5. Wisdom speaks. Emergency silence triggers. When you feel urge to revenge trade. When euphoria hits after big win. When confusion clouds the market. When any strong emotion arises. Before any size increases. Your loudest thoughts are usually your worst advisors. In trading, the need to mentally comment on everything creates noise that drowns out signal. Silence isn't empty. It's full of intelligence that words can't access. The market speaks in probabilities, but you can't hear it over your own mental chatter. When did you last sit in complete silence after a trade? Not checking phones, not talking, just being? Try it tomorrow. 1 trade, 5 minutes silence. See what wisdom was waiting behind the noise. Share this with a trader friend who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best trading advice is to stop talking, even to yourself. Now we've covered individual transformation. But what about the virus words coming from the trading community around you? The groupthink that infects even disciplined traders. That's where things get really dangerous. Chapter 9, Herd Language, the Community Mind Virus. In behavioral finance research, there's a concept called herd behavior, and the language of trading communities can trigger it without you realizing. Trading communities can be learning accelerators or virus superspreaders. The group language you absorb unconsciously programs your trading behavior. One toxic Discord channel can undo months of mental training. The 2021 meme stock phenomenon perfectly illustrates what Van Tharp calls crowd psychology contagion. I tracked language evolution across different trading communities during the GME saga. Professional traders echoing market wizards' principles. Elevated volatility creates opportunity. Position size must reflect uncertainty. Take partial profits into strength. Reddit traders, diamond hands, apes together strong, never selling, hodl. The language literally predicted outcomes. Those using gambling terminology showed classic signs of what Dr. Steenbarger calls social proof override, where group language overrides individual judgment. One trader I mentored got caught up in it. His language shifted from his usual disciplined approach to full meme speak within days. Lost 80% of his account. It was like being hypnotized, he told me later. The group energy and language just took over my brain. This mirrors what happened in the 1990s dot-com bubble. Traders who maintained professional language survived. Those who adopted new paradigm speak got crushed. As Paul Tudor Jones warns, the secret to being successful from a trading perspective is to have an indefatigable and an undying and unquenchable thirst for information and knowledge. But you can't learn when you're chanting slogans. Mark, a disciplined trader I knew, joined WSB in January. His language evolved. Week 1, interesting volatility in GME. Week 2, I like the stock. Week 3, diamond hands. Baby. Week 4, apes never sell. His P&L evolved too. Week 1, plus $5,000. Week 2, plus $15,000. Week 3, minus $10,000. Week 4, minus $45,000. The community virus had overwritten his operating system. Toxic community. Phrases to avoid. Diamond hands promotes bag holding. To the moon encourages unrealistic targets. HODL destroys risk management. Apes together creates herd mentality. Paper hands shames proper risk management. Buy the dip without context. Their manipulating creates victim mentality. Short squeeze incoming is hopium dealing. Healthy community language. What's your risk management? Show your analysis. Take profits systematically. Protect your capital. Trade your plan. Respect the market. Stay disciplined. Building your firewall. 1. Audit your information sources. 2. Mute channels during market hours. 3. Never trade ideas without your own analysis. 4. Create a toxic phrase blocker. 5. Find mentors who speak in probabilities. 6. Leave groups that celebrate losses. 7. Build a vocabulary filter. You become the average of the 5 traders you listen to most. If those traders speak in memes and gambling language, that becomes your trading language. If they speak in systems and probabilities, that becomes yours. Your community is either improving your edge or infecting it. There's no neutral. I challenge you, open your Discord, Telegram, and Twitter right now. What language dominates your feed? Count the ratio of emotional, gambling language versus systematic, probability-based language. That ratio is actively shaping your future returns. If you realize your environment is a source of infection, you need an antidote. You need a community that acts as a firewall, not a virus. That's precisely why I created a free Telegram community called SciTrade.io. It's a dedicated space for traders who are serious about this transformation. We practice this new language, hold each other accountable, and focus on process, not just profit. If you need that kind of environment, I invite you to join us. Now that we've built our defenses against external viruses, it's time to go on the offense. Let's talk about how to install your new mental operating system so deeply that it becomes your permanent trading identity. Chapter 10. The 30-day installation, becoming your new OS. It takes 10,000 repetitions to master a golf swing, but only 30 days to master a new mental language if you follow this exact protocol. Knowledge without installation is worthless. Your brain needs systematic repetition to overwrite years of toxic programming. This 30-day protocol transforms temporary awareness into permanent change. Dr. Brett Steenbarger, in Enhancing Trader Performance, outlines a specific 30-day protocol based on cognitive behavioral therapy. He studied traders implementing new habits and found a clear pattern. Days 1 through 7, conscious effort, frequent forgetting. Days 8 through 14, increasing awareness, catching mistakes. Days 15 through 21, new pattern becoming easier. Days 22 through 30, near automatic execution. One trader he worked with, let's call him Tom, documented his journey. Day 1, feels stupid saying phrases to myself. Day 5, caught myself about to revenge trade. Day 12, actually stopped mid-FOMO and walked away. Day 20, discipline feels more natural than impulsiveness. Day 30, can't imagine trading the old way. The key insight from Steenbarger. It's not about perfection, it's about consistent practice creating new neural pathways. Mark Douglas emphasizes this in his workshops. You're not trying to control the market. You're installing a new mental software that responds to market information without emotional interference. Van Tharp's deliberate practice model shows that 30 days of consistent language work can overwrite years of bad habits, but only with daily commitment. The 30-day protocol. Week 1, awareness phase. Morning, 10 minutes. Write your 3 anchor phrases 10 times. Say them aloud and mirror 10 times. Record toxic words used today. Trading. Pause before each trade. Ask, what words am I thinking? Replace toxic words immediately. Evening, 5 minutes. Count virus words used. Journal the replacements. Celebrate catches. Week 2, replacement phase. Morning, 15 minutes. Anchor phrases 20 times written. Practice emergency protocols. Visualize using them under stress. Trading. Use anchor phrases before every trade. 5-minute silence after closes. Alchemist protocol for all results. Evening, 10 minutes. Rewrite the day in power language. Plan tomorrow's language goals. Read your phrases before sleep. Week 3, integration phase. Morning, 10 minutes. Phrases now automatic. Add visualization of success. Set language intentions. Trading, natural use of new language. Catch and correct slips instantly. Help others with language. Evening, 5 minutes. Note automatic corrections. Feel the mental shifts. Prepare for challenges. Week 4, lock-in phase. Morning, 5 minutes. Quick phrase reinforcement. Identity statement work. Confidence in new OS. Trading. Language flows naturally. Old patterns feel foreign. Teaching others solidifies it. Critical success factors. 1. Never skip a day. Momentum matters. 2. Physical writing activates motor memory. 3. Speaking aloud engages auditory processing. 4. Morning installation when brain is fresh. 5. Evening review cements learning. 6. Weekend reviews prevent regression. Your brain is plastic. It literally rewires based on repetition. 30 days of consistent language practice creates new neural highways. Your old toxic thoughts become dirt roads. Your brain doesn't want to travel. This isn't positive thinking. It's neurological re-engineering. Are you willing to invest 20 minutes a day for 30 days to transform your trading forever? Or will you read this, nod your head, and stay stuck in the same patterns? The protocol is simple. The discipline to do it separates the 5% from the 95%. You now have all the tools, but there's one final level when you transcend language altogether and trade from pure awareness. Chapter 11. Beyond Words. The Ultimate Trading State. After 10,000 hours of practice, master traders report something strange. Their best trades happen when they're thinking nothing at all. Language is the ladder that gets you to mastery, but eventually you must throw away the ladder. The ultimate trading state is beyond words, a flow state where right action happens without thought. The evolution from words to wordless mastery is beautifully captured in Market Wizards. Take Richard Dennis, who created the Turtles. Early in his career, he was all rules and verbal commands. By the end, he describes trading as feeling the market's rhythm without thinking. Or Linda Raschke. After 10,000 hours, the patterns just speak to you. No internal dialogue needed. DECODED describes it perfectly. The goal is to reach a state where right action happens through you, not by you. Words were the training wheels. Eventually, you ride without them. In Japanese trading culture, they call this mushin, no mind. Not empty-headed, but so deeply trained that correct action flows without verbal thought. Michael Marcus reached this state. I don't think about trades anymore. I see the setup, my hands move, the trade happens. If I start thinking in words, I know I'm off my game. The paradox, you can't skip to this level. As Trading in the Zone teaches, first, unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. Then conscious incompetence. You're aware of failures. Then conscious competence, effortful success. Finally, unconscious competence, effortless mastery. Words are how you climb the mountain. Wordlessness is the view from the top. The evolution to no-mind trading. Stage 1. Unconscious incompetence. Toxic language runs wild. No awareness of impact. Results, consistent losses. Stage 2. Conscious incompetence. Aware of toxic language. Fighting to change. Results, reducing losses. Stage 3. Conscious competence. Using power language deliberately. Requires constant effort. Results, break even to profitable. Stage 4. Unconscious competence. Power language is automatic. No effort required. Results, consistently profitable. Stage 5. Transcendent competence. Beyond language entirely. Pure pattern recognition. Results, exceptional performance. Signs, you're approaching transcendence. Trades feel like they happen versus you doing them. Less mental chatter during trading. Decisions arise without deliberation. Calm, regardless of outcome. Time distortion. Hours feel like minutes. Knowing without thinking. The paradox. You can't skip to transcendence. You must first poison yourself with toxic language unconsciously, then become aware of the poison consciously, then take the antidote of power language competently, then embody the new language masterfully. Only then can you release all language transcendently. The goal isn't to think better thoughts, it's to need fewer thoughts. Master traders aren't running complex mental algorithms. They've internalized the patterns so deeply that recognition is instant, wordless, perfect. But you can't get there without first mastering your mental language. Transcendence is earned, not accessed. Have you ever made a perfect decision without thinking? That feeling of just knowing, that's a glimpse of where this journey leads. But first, you must do the work. Master the words to eventually master the wordless. You've just discovered how language patterns influence trading psychology and decision-making. Words shape mental state, which affects trading decisions. Zero-do triggers scarcity thinking versus zero-point enables strategic thinking. Toxic language patterns correlate with poor trading outcomes. Professional traders use consistent phrases to maintain proper mindset. Success can create its own dangerous language patterns. Community language can influence individual behavior. Systematic language change can catalyze broader improvements. This isn't about magical thinking or replacing solid strategy with positive words. It's about recognizing that language is one important factor in the complex psychology of trading. Here's my challenge. In the comments below, share your number one virus word, the one that's cost you the most money. Then write its replacement. Mine was revenge trade, which became recovery setup. What's yours? And if this opened your eyes to what's really been sabotaging your trading, share it with one trader who needs to hear it. They'll thank you when they're profitable. Remember, your trading results aren't just about strategy and risk management, though those are essential. The language patterns in your head create the mental state that either enables or sabotages your execution. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if your inner dialogue is toxic, you'll find ways to break your own rules. Starting tomorrow, will your words put you at zero do or 0 point? The next thought you think begins to decide.